What's up, guys? Welcome back to Jlunce Reviews. I'm your host, as per usual, Jlunce. And today we're going to be discussing one of the most hyped releases of the year, at least in the online community, especially Album of the Year. The new project from fellow content creator himself, Quadeca, his fourth LP, titled Vanisher Horizon Scraper. The singer, songwriter, and producer is attempting to follow up his great LP from 2022, I Didn't Mean to Haunt You, which is by far the best album from a YouTuber ever made, I would say. Not that that's a very high bar, but either way, this LP was actually just super high quality, immersing you in this amazing cascading world of folktronica and art pop beauty that held on to this hauntingly beautiful sonic journey through the entire runtime. Not to mention the songwriting on tracks like Sorry for Dying and Born Yesterday proved to have a lot more emotional depth than I was anticipating. I did re-listen to it in preparation for the new record and can confirm that while it is great, my gripes come from the disembodied nature of the vocals being a bit too washed out sometimes for their own good. And some experimental bits like the industrial track in the middle of the track listing, as well as the final track, grasp for a bit too much. So yes, while I Didn't Mean to Haunt You was great, I could envision even better piece of work from Quadeca in the future, where he really fleshes out his style even more and truly amazes me. And based on the ratings for the singles on the Album of the Year site, I was thinking I would get that, and it did raise my expectations for this, even to a point where I was worried I may be disappointed no matter how good it is. And this album was pretty fucking good. And by pretty good, I mean it's one of the best albums of the year thus far. And it's very rare that we get to witness an artist come into his or her own so viscerally and at a time in their career where there's pretty damn early. I mean, Quadeca is only a few years older than me. He's making albums this good. Vanisher has so much to offer in terms of innovation in this folktronica sound. While the production was haunting, naturalistic, and more enchanting before I Didn't Mean to Haunt You, the new additions to this mix, especially the string sections and piano passages, add to this new orchestral, larger-than-life, monumental vibe that is so captivating and astounding to listen to. I can't believe that this is a vision of a single dude, because it sounds like John Williams' backing orchestra is on this thing. And from the moment the album begins on No Questions Asked, we see these new changes flourish with this booming bass and slowly ascending vocals from Quadeca that canvas the soundscape. These shifting frequencies and pitch to his voice, along with the reverb, sound like Robin Pecknold on cocaine or something like that. The woodwinds and folk guitars in this track just add more rich, detailed layers, and the expansiveness of the track makes it feel like you're being whisked away to a far misty mountain where the leaves and the trees are the most vibrant green. Another thing about this track, in addition to the new detailed production, is how much better Quadeca's vocals fit this new progressive, alluring version of his folktronica roots, because I feel that instead of his vocals sounding ghostly or disembodied, they're like a nice, pillowy, soft blanket that rests over the instrumental. And you can be damn sure that there are even more amazing moments of production as the songwriting makes a larger presence. The following track, for example, Waging War, takes a far more electronic approach with the effects. Some of the horns really sound like a pumped up track off of the Mid-Earth Thief album. The experimental hip-hop elements are also there with the booming beat, and I think the auto-tune applied to Quadeca's voice really adds to the experience. I also love the line where he mentions how when he's high, the sea splits itself in half and he sees himself at the end of the hallway created by this split, where he becomes himself again and sobers up, and how he loses that blissful imagination he has while he's high once he reaches the end. The themes of resurrection and rebirth after death take center stage here and continue to pop out throughout the rest of the album. Godstained is another excellent highlight, a little bit more low-key than the previous tracks, with an emphasis on the warm blend of drums, freeing guitars, and slowly quickening rhythmic bass. There are some moments of dissonance with the strings, but they are balanced naturally by the addition of the flutes. The production definitely fits the melancholic and contemplative lyrics, which are about Quadeca journeying out to sea and finding a message in a bottle, thinking he will see something life-changing about the world, but instead he only sees his reflection. Maybe where his head isn't the path he should be following. There's a sense of inner turmoil that rings through it, and this feels like the insight incident of the story, for the record. And the production on At a Time Like This is absolutely spectacular too. I mean, Jesus, it's so dense with so many different flavors that blend and twist in so many interesting ways. There's a bit of a shoegaziness to how abrasive the sounds are, encasing you in this crushing wall of sound. These fluttering strings eventually flow into this triumphant mix of synths and what sounds like some brass instrument. The dynamic shifts and overall production on this track is so complicated, it's amazing that it all just fits together so seamlessly and so well. And the vocal performance, including Quadeca's bellowing shouts, really help give the end of the track just this uplifting sense of grandiosity. The swan-like elegance to the arrangements on the song That's Why are particularly beautiful to me, especially with the way his vocal harmonies flow with the prominent flutes, a nice rhythm section on the guitars. It reminds me of one of the crescendos on the Scheherazade and Other Stories album from Renaissance, that symphonic prog record for the 70s. If nobody's ever heard of that, you should probably check it out. It's great. But there's a real distinctive symphonic rock influence to this track, honestly, that I just really love. I also think the lyrics get so real and almost frightening, where in the story of the album, the character Quad is playing contemplates suicide by jumping off of a ledge, but being afraid to, because if he survives, he'll just live the rest of his life in pain. It's a frustration that I'm sure many people who have had suicidal thoughts can sadly relate to at points, and I thought that was one of the more standout, daring moments, songwriting-wise, on the record. It paints a vivid picture of someone striving to be creative, to express the art that they want to make, while simultaneously knowing that it has a severe impact on their mental stability. If I'm going to pick on a couple tracks, I would say that the songs Natural Causes and Thunder are my two least favorite, mostly due to the vocal performance on Natural Causes being a bit too over the top and exaggerated to the point where Quadeca is going a bit overboard with some of his shifting vocal effects. I do think the lullaby-esque approach to this track, along with the unique percussion, does give the song a darker tone, but that's nothing compared to the wild performances and rumbling distorted bass on Thunder, where Quadeca gets breathy with his performance. I like the catchy beat on this track and the fact that he was daring to go this weird. I even like how aggressive and combative he gets with lyrics on this track. He seems the most fed up with this force that is telling him his thoughts about the world and himself are contradictory. I will admit the final push instrumentation, the final minute, is pretty cool, but I just think the experimental hip-hop elements don't match as well with the art pop elements compared to the following track, The Great Bacchanal, featuring Danny Brown, which I think it's definitely just a better version of the last time these two collaborated on one of Quadeca's LPs. The harrowing and dark production on the song isn't as misty as it was on I Didn't Mean to Haunt You, and the screeching strings along with the frightening horns fit Danny's rapping super well, and Quadeca matches his energy with his performance as well. Then, as if things couldn't get any better, we end with Foregone and Casper, which miraculously are two of the best tracks on the entire record. The slow build on the former track is just so engrossing and absolutely stunning, and the string sections along with the drums create this rhythmic punch that is just, is orgasmic. It truly is. And Casper, which features Maruja, yes, British post-rock, jazz rock, punk band from Britain, Maruja, is on this track, and to spare you a giant dissertation on what makes this track so amazing, if you wanted an operatic finish to this fantastic album that feels like a perfect mix between the sounds of these two artists respectively, that's exactly what this is. The lyrics effectively finish this story about acceptance and the search for self-importance in a sea of unknowing. There's a bleak beauty to Harry and Quadeca's verses here that signify two halves. One side blissfully unaware of and finding comfort in the truth as he knows it to be, and the other side understanding that the dark and brooding nature of the world is what it is. With Quadeca's fourth LP, one can witness the rare moment where a musical artist has truly found their sound. Vanisher Horizon Scraper doesn't just provide glimpses of something great, it soars sky high with dazzling confidence and some of the most beautiful and harrowing moments in music this year. I give this album a 91. Go listen to it. It's incredible. Not much else to say. Just floored by this album, and I think you will be too if you give it a listen. Like, sub, comment, tell me your thoughts, your feelings, all that. Jlunce out.